Okay, we need to call the meeting to order. Approval of the January minutes.
I'll move to approve.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. So we have Dave Buck here today for Webster on Wheels special activity permit. Dave, I'll give you the floor.
Dave, so if you could just explain the business district, obviously the route goes through what the intention is, and, you know, just briefly, we do need the business district to have no objections to the permit, so.
Yeah, very well. First of all, thanks for having me. And Ron knows more than I do, but I appreciate the invitation. Webster on Wheels is Webster Grove's first and only community bike riding event. It started in 2009. Our home base is the Bristol Elementary School Blacktop. That's where the event starts and ends. It includes a 5-mile bike route that Ron plotted out originally, and it's a great route. People love it. It's a 5-mile route that goes down Gray, Sherwood, then up Lockwood, takes a left at Orchard at the library, goes through Webster Park, and then back again by the high school and takes Swan, then back to Gore and back to the Bristol Blacktop. At our peak, we've had like 450 riders. Normally we average about 300 to 350. We have events both before the ride and after the ride, including the St. Louis Sprockets, who are a bicycle stunt and jump team, and they put on quite a show with ramps and jumps, and it's really cool. We have held Webster on Wheels for 10 times, not all in a row. And the event has not been held the last 2 years because of COVID concerns. The event, the last 4 times it was executed, was under the leadership of, or the ownership of, the Webster Groves School District Foundation, but they are off in another direction, and so they gave it the event back to really Ron and I to execute as just citizens of the community. 2 things that are really new and important for this year. And again, the event is always held the first Sunday in May. So this will be Sunday, May the 1st in the afternoon. 2 really new things. One is that in the past, we've always charged an entry fee of $10 per person or $35 a family as a way to say thank you to the community and welcome them back to the event. Webster on Wheels, or WOW as we call it, will be absolutely free. So it'll be free, totally free event and open to anybody in the community. The second thing is that we have a new kind of partner, which is the Webster Groves Sustainability Commission. And the reason is because they are planning to put down bike lane stripes on parts of Lockwood and on parts of Bompard. And so our riders on May the 1st will be among the first in the community to ride in the new bike lanes, which will be kind of fun. And other than that, that's really the event. It's really fun. There's no other bike event in Webster Groves, and hopefully with the pent-up demand and the 2-year absence, I hope, you know, and the fact that it's going to be free, there'll be a really great turnout. And as Eric mentioned, you know, our route does go a long way on Lockwood, goes all the way through Old Webster Business District, all the way down to the library before it turns. So that's it. And I'm happy, and Ron's, I'm sure, happy to answer any questions you have. And we've always had, in the past, although Webster on Wheels has never been a city endorsed or sponsored event, we've always had the participation of 2 police officers from the Webster Groves Police Department who are there. They come over, they actually give a safety talk, traffic talk before the event. Then they get in their patrol car, flash the lights, and they lead the peloton down Gray Avenue. So they really do a great job.
And just to clarify for the district, this is obviously in front of you to make sure you have no objections. This is not one of your 2 free events that the city gives the district. Obviously, you folks use those. This is a Sustainability Commission sponsored event.
Yes.
That's how it's a city event. So.
So if you like to ride bikes, come out.
So does anyone have any objections to this event or any concerns, questions?
And I'll tell you, it wouldn't happen without Ron and the Hub. I mean, without them, there is no Webster on Wheels. So we owe it all to them in making
Not
it happen.
necessarily true. It's all Dave, really. He's the one who gets it all going. So, okay. So if nobody has any objections, I guess we'll have the commission's blessing. So thanks for showing up, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yeah, can I raise one other point, if it's okay? I was knocking on some doors to try to gain some sponsorships for Webster on Wheels to help pay for the St. Louis Sprockets. But in talking to some of the business owners in Webster Groves and in Old Orchard, man, unsolicited, they gave me an earful on that what they felt was the need for the 3 business taxing districts to somehow have some unity or some unifying activity, because they felt that there are 3 disparate groups. They aren't really coordinated. Oh, Webster does its thing. Old Orchard does its thing. I don't know what Crossroads does. But I'm just sharing that was just stuff that they unloaded on me, and that said, God, we just wish we did more stuff in unison as one business community rather than 3 separate ones. So
Can you name any of these businesses?
pardon me?
Can you name any of these businesses? I mean, I would
maybe out of privacy, I'd rather not, but there are prominent, maybe the most prominent owner in Old Orchard and several people in Old Webster. And, it wasn't malicious or anything. It was just they kind of consistently expressed this same concern.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't really help. I mean, I'm president of the Old Webster Trade Association, and I have meetings, and sometimes they're full, sometimes there's only a couple of people. So when people aren't participating with anything, it's very hard for them to criticize. So I would like to know who in Old Webster is there, just so that I can encourage them to work with us exactly, because I'm also on the BDC, which we are trying to do all of these things that you mentioned. So if there's frustration, I would like to get these people involved as well too, instead of just sitting back and criticizing.
Yeah, well,
Tim, I know for sure that business districts were not so happy that we, with our new banners, decided to go with Old Webster versus Webster Groves. So I can say that for a fact.
Yeah, there's like just a competing feeling that the districts are competing with each other rather than cooperating and unifying. That's all I'm sharing, and I'll keep the people private, but all of them, it's no secret. So
I'm happy you spoke up about that, Dave. Thank you for sharing that with us. Because I think it is something I agree with you, Tim. People need to be more active, but I think he's also talking about other business districts and other business owners in other business districts.
Well, but he did say several in Old Webster. So that's just where my concern is, because those are the only people that I work with directly, other than say on the BDC where we work together to try and do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm very active. I didn't have this conversation with Dave, but I definitely am team
Sure.
unified.
Yeah.
So,
Those that are here are not the problem, obviously.
yeah. Well,
Okay, Dave. Well, thank you so much for coming, and
right.
guess I'll see you Thursday night.
And Eric, I'll see you tomorrow. All right. See you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Okay. So on to budget discussions.
We got nothing to talk about. There's nothing, nothing.
That's
needed.
it. It's
No,
over.
just
I wish.
All right. Do you want me to take it here, Mr. Chairman?
You can start, yes.
Okay. So I sent yesterday through Fran. I'm going to pull up a screen here. Let me get that up. Okay. Is that the one I want? Yes. All right. And so I want to go to here to the Excel. I sent yesterday this Excel document. I think you can all recognize it. And we got a series of quotes that we had talked about in past months in our meetings and such. And then also some other things from Parks and Rec that they are looking to do, some of which they are really just moving in that direction, and some of which we need to have a conversation about whether or not you want to move in that direction. I want to start with the kiosk and sign. I know that's a little farther down. The quote is not back yet for the kiosk, but that really isn't, from my perspective, should not be part of your budget request, because obviously the city would need to give permission and exemption from its sign ordinance to do that. So we would pull that quote and such into that exemption. So the point is not just to dump it in the budget and have it wrapped in there, because you're going to need another action. So have that action done, amend the budget should you desire to put that in when that comes about. So that's why you don't see the sign quote for the kiosk in that listing. Certainly can add it if you all choose. And as I mentioned, the budget process is fluid. While we need to turn something in by March 1, we can obviously amend and make some changes as we go. So these are items that did come in. Now the holiday items I split out on the bottom because we are having supply chain issues, and quite literally things for this Christmas, if we hadn't ordered them in June, wouldn't have been here, and we expect to need to order them now for this coming Christmas, the Christmas of 2022, that holiday season. We need to get those orders in now, the way the supply chain is working. So I'm going to start there, Mr. Chair, if I could, and just briefly take you through. You've seen a couple of these quotes. I want to go to Garland. You have all these documents. Should we add Garland to the Garland you have? This was the conversation about wrapping the whole pole, about $1,200, and just buying all new Garland was $2,800. Was the from Yvonne at Parks and Rec. And then we would likely see if Old Orchard wishes to buy the Garland you have and use it in their decorations and such there. No guarantee of that. So we have two different ways to go. So we, again, need to order relatively soon on Garland. And then as well, as I pull this one down and go back to that, your nylon red bows, they probably have one more good Christmas in them, according to Parks and Rec, but we're going to need new bows either this Christmas or next Christmas. So I put it on there for this conversation. Do we want to get new bows or not? You can see the number of pulls, the cost there at $3,900. So all in total holiday is $8,000. And as I said in my short memo, my suggestion would be that we do that on this budget. We can take a budget amendment to the council, say we need to get these things and get them ordered so that they are here. We have no problems with supply chain and logistics getting those things before the holiday season.
So number 7 and number 8, though, it's not really 8,000.
No,
it's either or.
It's either or. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I
Okay,
would go ahead and suggest that we get the all new garland instead of trying to piece stuff together and just get it done. As far as the bows go, I'd probably wait till next year if they're usable this year and order them next year.
I guess the only thing is, I mean, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, Joe. I think totally get one more year out of them, but we need to order them now. So we will have them for maybe possibly even next year. I mean, next year's budget, right? Because the next year's, well, I guess we could wait till next February.
So,
Get 'em in by-
yeah, Ron, what I think I would do if we want to do the bows in Christmas 23, we want to have them public in Christmas 23. We put them in the fiscal year 23 budget. So essentially, this July 1, the money's there. We can order them. We get them in. You know, if they come in January, February, they sit over at Public Works in the service center, you know, waiting to go up the next Christmas. The real difference, like garland, we need to order now in this budget, you know, that we're in, not the one we're talking about creating.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, does anyone else have
Joe?
comments on supplementing garland or all new garland? I think I'm with Joe. It's just getting all new. Seeing if Old Orchard wants to kick us a few bucks for what we have. If they want to use it, they don't, they can have it. But yeah, so I think instead of trying to splice it together, which may not look good, could come apart or something like that, then I think we should just do all new garland. Any objections to that?
No.
Okay, so we'll order the new garland, we'll order the new bows, because to get them, to make sure we have them for 2023 Christmas, which we'd still have to pay for them or order them in that year budget, I guess is right.
Correct. We expect that we'll take this number 9 and that will go in the fiscal year 23 budget. We don't need to order them tomorrow to get them for Christmas 23. We'll have
Right.
them. So, yeah.
Just in case I missed that meeting, we talk about bows. Can we just, on the record, I would like to see blue bows to match the blue banners. That's all I have to say about the bows.
So we can
So-
still discuss that, right? I guess.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Even if we put it in the budget, we can discuss what color you want to have.
Right, exactly. So let's maybe just put bows in the thing.
Okay.
And I think in that, you know, as we order garland, obviously garland is green. So, you know, I don't want to pause us and get us into a color conversation. Do you want green garland with blue bows if that's the direction you're going? And I'm just putting
Right.
that on the radar. So,
Right. Okay,
all right, Mr. Chair, I'll go then up to bench repair. We talked about benches. So item number 3, you should be able to see there. The quote came back at $3,960. I just want to take you all to this space real quick on where we're talking about. If I find the right, why can't I find the right Google Maps? There we are. So here's the ramp. Here is Le Macron, Lockwood. It's right where my mouse is. There are 3 benches right here in a U. There is also one bench right over here. If you can see my mouse in this bump out, which Parks and Rec has said is not getting much use, and it recommends actually removing this bench over on this space rather than repairing. But even with the three benches here, the repair cost is at or exceeds depending on if you want to replace the benches, right? So I mean, to put the slats in and reuse the standards is costing just as much as new benches. There also is a conversation from Parks like, should we open this space up to more natural space, remove the concrete, use, you know, have soil and a planter with green space and such? Do we want seating on the concrete right there, or do you want a more natural space? Do you want natural space with wood chips and such that you sit on rather than concrete, you know, that the bench is on? So there's lots of options there, but we did get the quote to repair the 3 benches. And then that would remove this bench in this space right here on the bump out.
so on benches, I went out yesterday and looked at the benches because I was just taken back on how much that costs to replace those. And I was thinking, and I even took one of the benches apart in front of our place, or actually in front of Bill's place, just to see what it exactly was. If there's some other way. I tried to do some quick research yesterday afternoon about getting some other type of slat in there that we could just get and cut ourselves because it's so expensive. All of our benches, it's not just these three. The one in front of Straub's is just breaking in half. I mean, every one of our benches has cracked slats in it, every one. Some have 2 or 3, some have 8. And so it's a pretty big discussion actually on what we want to do there. The easy discussion is remove that bench on top of the parking garage, for my opinion. So take that out. So I think that what needs to happen, and I don't know if this is a good idea, but we could take the benches that we have. Let's say that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably have 12 benches. If we could make 3 or 4 good ones out of those by, just basically swapping out the good slats for the bad slats, and then we'll have to maybe purchase some other benches. I don't know that the one in front of Straub's needs to be redone. I know the one that is over in front of Panera gets used all the time.
Okay.
So I don't know about that one in front of Straub's. It's
This one right there.
it kind of sits right where that red car is.
Let's go this way here.
That one is the worst one of all of them, actually.
Right there.
Yeah, it is just falling apart.
Okay.
So I don't know that needs to be there anymore or not. There's other discussions we're about to have about making this into a planning area, which it already kind of is a little bit. We had discussed this in last year's budget, and Parks and Rec was supposed to have removed the trees and make this planting that you're seeing right in front of the parking lot in between there. They were supposed to pull some perennials out of some other things and split them up. I have the meeting minutes here. That was
Actually, Ron, that's one of the things they did propose. I think there must have been a miscommunication. They thought they were told that you didn't want that. So,
oh no, we passed it. I have the minutes right here.
okay, well, that's good because they're willing to do it. So,
Right, and yeah, the same thing in front of Dewey's.
Yep.
We were all for all that. We were also recommended that there's another space. If you'll go west down the street just a little bit, we had a pine tree right next to the Reliable Life building. Maybe turn right now. Yeah, right next to Robust more in that parking lot. There's a big dead area right a little farther. Right there, that area. We had a pine tree there at one time that was taken down that we would like to have done another little planting as well with.
sure.
And then in regards, this is my opinion, this isn't the group's opinion, that the area where those 3 benches are that we originally started talking about, making that into a little bit more of a green area. I'm personally all in favor of more greenery. We do utilize that space just a little bit for some events where people, the Lions Club and stuff, put up a barbecue. I'm sure we could find another place for that. But I'm all for more green and planting.
We use that space every time we have a Webster event for like the information booth.
Okay,
Webster Walktoberfest, that's where we set up all the bands.
got it. Mhm.
I mean, if we're gonna put any money into that, I would like to see electric added, to be honest.
Okay,
Use
Isn't that the spot where you want to put the kiosk as well?
it is a
Yes.
spot where we discussed about the kiosk as well. The kiosk would block the area as well, so.
Yeah,
So what about this area that's closer to the gate, that's closer to the steps that go down? I don't know if all this needs to be concrete right here per se. Like, I think that area, I'm still saying leave a little bit of an area up front, Stacy. But this area back in here would be nice to have something. It is I was down there yesterday. It's just a giant concrete, nasty slab. So, of course, it doesn't look like that right now because of the fact that it's plants.
I mean, I tell you, this space, Ron, when we did Walktoberfest and we had that band, in order to have a walkway for people to walk through that was safe,
Mhm.
we used that entire slab.
Okay,
And that is the only like main entry. Like there's not very, we don't have very many places like that in Webster to be able, that's really the only one.
okay.
I would really ask us not to overly mess with that space because we do use it so much.
Gotcha. No problem. I'm just, I'm not objecting. I just wanted to hear opinions. So that's like I said, it wasn't the group's opinion, it was my opinion. So if everyone feels like they utilize it that much, then I think we need to continue to maybe do that. So,
Yeah, I would agree that it should be left pretty much the way it is, because it is used for all kinds of events. And I also would not want to create an issue with getting water into the McCarnberg's basement or anything with trying to put plantings and water there and all.
okay. Okay,
So from our perspective as staff, that's totally fine. We jumped around there a little bit, but a couple things. I do think the whole bench review, Ron, easily done. I mean, we can catalog and have Public Works pull them and start to repair and replace. I think what'll be important, and maybe for the team, you all to look at, is which benches do you want replaced right away? Like if we pull, if there are 12, we pull 12, we get 4 good, non-broken ones. Where do the 4 go? As we pull back in, and then we can bring you quotes on some new replacements or new slats as we figure things out, fixing up the other ones. So it'll be a sort of a phased approach, right, to put them all back out.
right.
I want to say that one bench should stay in front of where Bill Newhouse or Canary Park is. That bench still carries the plaque from my father when we put the bench there back in the early 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 benches there, and I think that there's certain areas that have 2 benches. There's 2 benches in front of, I'm going to say across the street from CJ Muggs. There's 2 benches in some other areas that we could make just 1 bench temporarily. So I think that I know that bench that you're talking about, Joe, does get used because of course, we work there and we see it. I don't know about these benches right here in particular, how much they get used, but
they get used quite a bit.
okay. So that one in front of Straub's could be at least temporarily removed until it is the worst one. I don't know if there's anything usable out of that whole one. When I was looking at the benches, there are some that are just starting to crack. So I would say those aren't going to repair themselves. Those cracks are just going to get bigger and bigger. And so maybe not we could look at some of those that are just barely cracked and say, okay, that could just stay there until we have until we get new benches in. I know the ones that in front of La Macaroon get used. I don't know over by Linwoodell over there, how much those get used across the street.
Hey, you guys, will we have an opportunity to be able to switch the benches to metal benches?
We could.
That way we don't have to really worry about this that often.
Sure. I guess the thing with metal benches is they could need to be painted and stuff more, possibly. I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure that, I know that this company, I looked on their website yesterday afternoon, it was later, but I know they make metal benches too.
Well, we have all the parks. So if you go to Larson Park, the benches at Larson Park are metal. I don't know what other parks, but I do know that we use metal benches throughout the city. It's
We certainly do, Stacy, and Parks is the one who quotes this. And so I just put up on the screen, Yvonne did, send over this website. I'll make sure you all have it, where we can look at other benches if you're interested. But
Are these wood or are they composite?
The benches that we have are composite.
correct.
Oh, and they're cracking. How old are most of them? Do we know that?
Oh, they're 15 to 18 years old, I'm sure.
Okay.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah, they've been
And
around.
they've really held out well overall.
I think they were before I came on board, which was 05, 04. So a long time.
Yeah, since I've been on the taxing, we've never talked about the benches.
Right. Well, until somebody ran over one once or something.
Oh, well,
Okay, so basically what I'm going to propose is we're going to have to put some more money in our budget for benches than has already been quoted. So I don't know what that number should be.
Well, if you figure let's just say we have 12, this is the amount of material, not including the brackets for 3.
Okay.
Right? So if you say half that again, we're looking at, just call it 8,000 to be,
Okay.
comfortable safe side.
Okay. So I'm going to propose that we put in $8,000 for bench repair / replacement.
I'm going to suggest to up that to 10.
Okay.
Because I think there's more benches that need to be replaced totally. I don't see that there's that much of a savings to try and reuse the brackets.
Well, there's not one bench that I saw that was perfect. Every one of them has at least 1 or 2 crack slats. So. Okay, is there any objections to what we just did there?
No.
Okay.
All right. Got
Okay.
that noted. I'm going to mark that so I know for the future. Okay. So Ron mentioned this. We will correct the miscommunication here, but I'm going to pull up a quick map. Straubs, this area right there, that little green space in the trees, Parks and Rec would like to put that into a planting and upgrade that. And then also Dewey's. You probably have seen these before, since what I'm hearing, and have approved these. But what I put in was in the budget placeholders of 3,000 each, not necessarily anticipating that we're going to spend any of that money. The point is to try to use the tree fund and the other grants that come to the Parks and Rec department to pull those plants in and such. So those numbers aren't even Parks and Rec numbers. That's Eric Peterson trying to make sure you have enough capacity. If we're doing this project, you want something special, in front of one of them or something like that, you have some money. We don't have to include it in the budget at all. We could just say, go do the work and, we'll figure it out as we go.
I think that's what I would prefer, is to not, I think we're already gonna be at a deficit and I don't want to be irresponsible. I mean, I know we have general funds, which, but business licenses, we'll have to see what's coming in this year and to see how we go forward with those, in my opinion.
Okay. Got it.
So yeah, Eric, I know you weren't here last, you were, I think maybe, I don't know when you got hired, I forget exactly, but
Your budget was done when I got here. So.
right, exactly, right. So yeah, I pulled up, I thought that we had done that. And I pulled up the minutes last year for it and we'd approved everything, plus that other planting area that I had mentioned.
Got it.
Over by Robust, so.
Well, we will make sure to get it done, so.
Okay.
So the big change that you see, and I'm gonna now try to find the look that I had, and actually it might be, oops. Sorry, you're probably getting woozy there watching me do that. Planters, namely right here. Let me go right here so you can all see it. The Parks Department is moving away from ground-based planters to the hanging baskets. And you've seen these in Old Orchard. And what they are more soil efficient, obviously. There's a load of things that you put in those those planters for the flowers. And also they get up on the poles, easier to water, more efficient on water. With those baskets, these are the baskets, the 23-inch that Parks would have for you or order for you and such and pull in. And then also the brackets that go with them. So you can see they are a bracket that holds, I believe it's, if I'm correct, it's not the hoop bracket. It might be the onion bracket or it's a round iron. that holds them up on each of them. Sorry, it's the hoop bracket. So that is what Parks is looking at. To do that, that is 103 poles. Baskets are $72 a piece, and then we are looking at basket brackets as well. So that's $14,000. You have plenty of money in your fund balance to cover this. And this is the way ultimately Parks is moving to going. So this would cause you to be a deficit budget, but you have lots of savings for that. The 1A and 1B soil and plants and the biweekly fertilization, I just gave you a sense of what that cost is. That number is actually always incorporated in this transfer to the general fund to Parks. So, and that is the one piece of your revenue that has not been estimated yet as we work through what our anticipated salary costs are. So that is what we are proposing for the budget. Obviously, it wouldn't be ready for planting season this year. It would be, put in the budget so that calendar year 23, you all move to baskets, similar to Old Orchard and Crossroads.
Well, I guess, Eric, we've talked about this in the past as well. And again, I know you haven't been around for this, but part of the issue is our sidewalks are much, much wider than Crossroads and Old Orchard. They have to have hanging baskets if they want any flowers, and our sidewalks are much wider than that. So last year, this was a discussion as well. I mean, if that's what Parks is doing and it's our only option, of course, what are we going to say? But I think the bigger pots personally look better. It's just a discussion I guess we have to have with Parks. If it's like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. I do find it hard to believe that watering 103 hanging baskets is not just as labor intensive as watering 20 pots. It's and the pots that we have, I can't believe that they just can't retain water better than a small basket. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I know that they know more than I do about this, but smaller pots at my house have to be watered much more than my bigger pots out front. So that's my take on it.
I second that, Ron. I'd hate to see those pots go. I think they're fantastic.
And I know that we may need new pots because they may be getting old and such like that. But we have those big cutouts that we have the pots in that it's just going to be a big concrete slab if we just have some hanging baskets. I'm also a little bit concerned about the height of our poles. Our poles aren't as high as what Old Orchards are. We also have the banners there is, in the room for everything going on there. I'm just not sure that all that works out as well. I know that Parks has probably looked at this and knows more than I do about it. So,
can we not do both, Ron? Can we not specifically ask for certain spots of the pots? I think that the hanging baskets are really clean, easy. I love what Parks does, but I will say in the past year, I do feel like all of a sudden we got very pot heavy in Old Webster. And when you drive through, it's like, I guess I'm just hyper aware because we had the Walktoberfest on that slab, but there was literally, it looked like that area became where the pots go to procreate. There was literally 10 pots just full of random hodgepodge stuff all piled together.
I thought it looked pretty nice looking at Eric's picture he just put on.
Well, Eric, that's okay.
Eric's picture he just showed us looked pretty green to me.
It
Go
does
walk
not
over there now and look at it and see what it looks like.
Fran, wouldn't you agree there was a lot of pots where Fran worked that area a whole day when
Yes, I did.
there was a lot of pots there. It almost was like that was where they were using the pots to store them and then decide where they were going.
Yeah, unfortunately, hodgepodge is a good adjective.
And I feel like
Bring up that picture again, Eric, for me, can you, of that, if you don't mind? I don't
Talking about the one of the slab.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
It
just-
concrete park.
and it did not look like Oktoberfest, I promise. That was a
There
good
you
day.
go.
Do what?
That was a good day.
That was
Okay,
July.
that was a good day. So the day that you were there, they weren't like that.
This is July
No.
of 2015. So,
Okay, all right.
Wow.
Well, so maybe that's what we're trying to get to then. If you like the way that, I think that looks good.
Certain spots when you walk, like I mean, I guess I'm a little bit more hyper aware because I have a double stroller. There are certain spots in Webster that are very hard to walk on the sidewalk with a double stroller. And a lot of times it's where those pots are.
Okay. All right. Any other comments about pots versus the hanging baskets?
I'm just wondering if we can do, like, we can talk and decide like where we like the pots and maybe do the hanging baskets like every other one and slowly, gradually either move towards hanging baskets or decide like we do like a clump of pots in this spot.
Well, I guess another one of my little issues or concerns is the amount of money that we spend already on plantings. We're already spending $43,000 of our budget, which is over half of it for parks, and that's also some cleaning of sidewalks and some other things.
good chunk of that is staff. I mean, just to be very clear, I want,
Right,
but it's to do that. Yes.
right. What was operating plants? This is last year's budget, so excuse me, but it looked like plants were about 13,000, and then operating staff was about 28,000. So it's half of our budget. It's a lot. I mean, it is what makes Webster look nice, in my opinion. But I don't want to make it $50,000 or $60,000 a year when our budget's when we take in 80. That's not responsible. So
I mean, I will be on board with that, whatever you guys decide. I feel like it just gave my thought, and I'm fine with whatever we decide
Right.
together.
So I guess we can look at possibly doing some hanging baskets. I guess we'd have to look around and kind of designate those poles. I do know that, let's just say that we don't have any pots in front of Straub's, and we're talking about making that a planting area, which would make that more green than what it is. I'm just thinking of narrow sidewalks, Stacy, like you're talking about with your stroller. In between Joe and my building, sidewalks are super wide. We have a pot there right at the corner of Gore and Lockwood. There's pots. There's pots on every corner, I think, except for the one where CJ Muggs is. I think those pots coming up in front of US Bank look nice, because when you're driving up Gore, you come to that stop sign and there's pots, and I'm not dogging the US Bank building, but it's not aesthetically in Webster. I mean, it's a modern building and in an old business district. So I do like the pots in front of there.
Mr. Chair, if I can, if you are interested in baskets, and we certainly can look at certain poles. I mean, this is a good example of a pole you all can see, likely the pot would hang where my mouse is into the street side. But
Right.
also, I mean, your district obviously does extend past Elm. I mean, if you wanted to try baskets and look at it, we could look to this part of the district, running down in front of Garden Cafe, Dewey's to the border there. And that, certainly is going to be different, will give you a sense of where things are and not be right in the middle of your normal retail traffic.
I do like that idea, because those are narrower sidewalks down that way. And then also up towards Stacy's area in front of her building, those sidewalks are narrower as well. It kind of incorporates Robust and everything, but Robust and those restaurants kind of move their whole seating out there, which I'm fine with. I don't have a problem. I think it's awesome. But there's not a lot of room for pedestrians then at that point to walk by with pots as well. So maybe we could look at, on both ends of the business districts, looking at hanging plants possibly. And then in the middle, in the core, and we have those cutouts and big wide sidewalks, we stay with the potted plants. How does that sound to people?
Don't we still have to check and see if we can use the pots or if they're not going to let us?
We kind of do.
You're talking about Parks and Rec?
Yes.
I'm, while Parks is moving this way, I'm confident that if you are very hesitant, it is unlikely that the council is going to come in and say, you're going to do this and we have to move that way. If you are willing to look at the hanging baskets and such, I think we can work that through. Now I will double check and make sure we're not bumping into a hard wall that I'm not aware of. So.
And also, and again, I'm not opposed to going with some of these planters, these hanging planters, but they're kind of forcing us to spend $8,000 on these as well too. I mean, that's the additional $8,000 to the 43, which is what I think Ron was kind of saying earlier.
And that would have to come out of our.
It's just a thought.
Yeah.
That would have to come out of our reserves, much like I hate to say the benches are going to partially come out of our reserves too, because we're not going to have that much money. So we do have to take every once in a while pull some money out of our reserves. I would just prefer not to pull out a ton at once. So, so let's look at tentative. I guess we have to kind of approve it. Let's take that budget and for those hanging baskets. And let's cut it in half, maybe. I don't know how many poles are on each side where we're talking about, like in front of the Rockwood and in front of the Reliable Life building are. But areas where the sidewalks are narrower, those are areas that I would propose on each end of the business district, maybe to move towards the hanging plants. And then stay with our potted plants in the main central area of the business district.
I would agree with that, Ron.
Okay.
Stacy, you're muted.
Question, we're looking at this pole facing the old Reliable Life building. Are we all looking at the same thing? I don't know very well. Where will the baskets hang on these poles?
So if we go, right, I'm assuming with the banners this side, it would be high right up in about this space. You see my mouse, Stacy?
Isn't there one in front of City Hall, Eric? It's got baskets.
Oh, let me check now.
Eric, that is going to be a huge problem. I see the UPS truck hitting that 2-hour parking every day. Those pots are gonna the city trucks hit it, UPS, FedEx, every single day I see somebody hit those 2-hour parking things.
Wouldn't that just bust them off?
No, they bend. They like
I think they're
They're
strapped on.
They're like paper.
I'll show you. I think that there's one out front that's out of Paisley that's all busted. Let me.
Sorry, I'll stop moving around on you. I'll give you all fits here as I fly around. I thank you, Stacy, for that. I'm not aware. I haven't heard anything from Old Orchard folks that they had experienced that. So I'm glad you brought it up. So I can check on that.
I can show you guys a picture really fast of this. Don't look at me while I walk because that's gonna.
I do believe that the street lights might be a little further from the street in Old Orchard than they are in Old Webster.
He has they're like
I'm listening.
Okay,
me
can
stop.
you
There you go.
go to, okay, Stacy, can
Yes.
you,
We lost your camera, Stacy.
She's probably on Wi-Fi and got out of
yeah,
the
I'll
room.
screenshot it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I tried. It's
okay.
Does it let me share a video or well, you guys can come down and see, but it's literally like the metal's like bent. So ever so often it'd be like flat and then we'll just push it. So it works for a flat sign. It's not gonna work for a basket.
Right.
Okay. And just, so we don't have to do baskets, folks. I mean, if you want to say no, that's your recommendation. This is Old Orchard, just right in front of Balk and Tree Box, so you can see their poles.
Right.
So could I put a fly in the ointment here, a reminder? Just this, we're always talking about baskets and poles. We need to remember the areas of the district that don't have the fancy lampposts. They're always feeling left out, Moody, over on the other side of the railroad tracks, etc. I hear it every time I go into the businesses.
Well, they don't have lamp posts, so it's kind of hard for us. We can't use utility poles, so we
I
kind of
know,
have a
Just-
problem. Yeah.
giving you a reminder.
Hmm.
Do we have to make this decision right now? Can we have time to walk it and all kind of do our due diligence and then come back?
So this is part of the budget process. I mean, we need to put a number in March 1. The beauty of where you're at is because you're not general fund, your own separate funds, you don't have to make a decision now. But, looking ahead, we could always come back and amend the budget. We could not include this, say, we'll just go with pots, come back and amend the budget later. But I do expect, while we're looking at doing this, would really be for next year, getting this order in. We're going to need to order relatively soon this year to be able to make sure we're getting pots in, just the way things are going.
2023 versus 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's put in the budget, just so we have a number, and so we're not just randomly pulling things out. Let's put in the budget $7,000 for some hanging baskets, and we're gonna have to see if they're gonna, and we'll have to do some more. That's just to know that we have that money, but we may not use it on that because of the fact that it may not work.
Got it.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Chair, I did put in just $5,000 for more lighting. So, if people to supplement buildings that want to do it, or more tree lighting. So,
Right. Okay.
so
Right.
with those changes, we got 10, we took all that out, 10,750. That is total of what, 22? That is 22 up in here. 9 plus 22 is not 31. That's not what I went for. 22 and 3, 25. There we go.
And so, Eric, so if we go up to the top of our budget,
Yep.
that's many things that can't be changed, of course, and so those are all, but is operational equipment, is that lighting?
So that is any equipment we buy and such. We have been using that line item to pay for lighting. So
Okay,
that's
got
where why the 9,000 was budgeted.
I got you. Okay.
One of the reasons why we don't want to declare your lighting a cap, we normally would put that kind of thing in our capital lines, the 900s we call them.
Okay.
But we don't want, the problem is the auditors look at our 900s and then declare the lighting you've put in as a capital asset of the city. And of course, it's tough for us to own an asset that's on top of the building you own type of thing.
And they're not
Exactly.
permanent. Right.
Exactly.
That's understandable.
So that's why we use the 730.
Okay. And so we still have not used about $6,000 in that. Is that correct?
Yes. So that 9 is there. And so I don't know, I look back, but I didn't see really strong notes on what exactly it is. I know Olive and Oak, Strives is connecting with Mark because they're next. So
Right.
have the quote and, put that all in. Weather's obviously delayed all sorts of installations. So.
Okay. So we're going down that list real quick. We have professional services, which is Fran, which isn't going to change. I hope, Fran. Disposal services, we can't fix that. Land rental, it's what the parking lot rental is. Street lights or electric bill. And then we go to advertising. And so for advertising, in the budget, we had $24,000, it looks like. And we've only used 87. Is that correct?
So that is what has been taken out is your direct Christmas expenses. The overall general holiday has not yet been taken out, but so far that's, yeah.
So how much, do we know how much the overall rest of the holiday is?
About
gonna be taken
3,000
out?
more.
Hmm?
About 3,000 more.
Okay, all right.
I don't know what, I don't know. I mean, because 21, you obviously spent $24,000. When you look at the yellow column, see?
Mhm.
And then the budget was 2,550. I'm not exactly sure what else we're missing, in terms of bills that should be paid against that account.
Right, well,
the
I
street-
will say in 2021, we didn't have very many events that we planned to
right.
have.
It's probably Jazz Fest sponsorship in a way that, might have been rolled into that account. So,
Right.
and other big items.
Okay, well, the Jazz Fest didn't take place, but the street dance is still to take place, and that's about $3,500,
Okay,
and that's a June expense.
Right.
right, so that's still.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have some money left over there as well, which will be good.
Maybe. I wouldn't count on that. I think there's some other outstanding stuff in that because Oktoberfest and we did some other stuff. I'm not sure it's all been charged to that account yet.
Okay,
I think Lisa did say that we got reimbursed for Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I thought Walktoberfest was.
So it was,
Yeah.
these numbers are the same that you saw last month. So those checks that got cut since then, they haven't been updated to today. So,
okay, so the checks have been cut, but they don't show in our budget sheet yet.
exactly. Let me just, while we're talking, I'll just yank that account up while we're sitting here and find out where we're at. Just while we're talking, Webster Kirkwood Times did send in a request for the same package that they've done in the past where they work with businesses. We pay a portion of that full page ad and then the businesses kick in their piece, which, so that is included already right in the base. So. To Old Webster.
Was that part of the holiday open house package?
No, that one piece is the holiday open house. What I'm saying, it's included in your budget. They asked for funding for next year to be included in the budget. And it's already, because we haven't lowered your base, meaning the 25,000 you've spent, it's already in there. They had no price increase. So pulling your base budget forward, it was there.
But with that said, I talked to Jen Starkey and I think we lowered our budget because she was able to pull it from somewhere else. Where would she get that from?
She gets all the budget numbers from me doing where to bill all those to. So nothing was lowered over the holiday and media funding in terms of.
Okay. Well, we used to pay in more, but Jen and I talked about lowering it down to $1,000. Does this ring a bell at all? I might have to go back and see what okay.
So this is the, just real quick, Mr. Chair, you asked, this is the advertising line. So this is the actual number. Right now we're at 12,300. So.
Okay,
So that we've spent, so you have 13,000 left in that budget.
okay,
And then if you look just real quick on the little chart, there's your 5-year trend. Advertising has always come in a little under budget except for 21.
okay.
Yeah, in 21, we also did the Christmas, the holiday, December, well, wait, no, that wasn't, yeah, that would have been the 21 budget done in December of 20.
Correct. Yep.
I hate fiscal years.
Welcome to my world. So.
Right, yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so Eric, can we just can you show us one last little quick glimpse of the budget that we have gone through?
Certainly. So what I've done is reduce your operational equipment to 25,000 from what was in the file you got sent.
Okay.
So pulled down money there. Now that includes the 9,000 you already have. So that would be, 10, 7, and 5, which is.
So right now, I'm just seeing the picture of Webster Groves.
Oh, sorry. Let me stop the share and let me go back and share it again. Wrong.
Glad you're doing this, by the way, than me. So.
Sorry about that. So there we go. So I've reduced your, we've got $100 in miscellaneous, which is what we had last year. Probably won't spend it. 25,000 in operational equipment, 6,000 in professional services. That is if there is a potential increase from Fran, budgeted. We don't have to say that there will be, but we did have 5,400 in 21 and we budgeted at 5,100 for 22.
And operational equipment is lighting?
Is lighting the half the baskets and then the
Got it.
bench repair of 10,000.
Got it. Perfect. Got it. Okay. Yep. On board.
This is
Okay.
this is the line that got most of the conversation today.
Gotcha. All right. Perfect. All right. Gotcha. Okay.
1,900 for disposal services, because
Mhm.
I would expect Republic Services to increase their cost somewhat slightly.
Okay.
We put rental in at 13,250. Again, in 21, we paid 13,22, 13,220. So we anticipate we might get to that amount. We'll see. Streetlights, 1,400. Seems to be pretty consistent where we've been at. And then advertising, I had it at 30, I went up, but we don't have to go up. That was just an increase in my mind. You can put it right back to 25.5 if you want.
Well, last month, I asked for 7,500 for the Jazz Festival,
That's right.
which was a $2,500 increase. That was approved last month, so
You're right, Joe. Thank you.
I would I'd suggest keeping it at either 27 or 28 or stay with the 30,000.
I'm fine with that. It just, $40,000 deficit doesn't look good to me, but we're going to have a little bit left over from this year in advertising, even with the street dance.
Your fund balance will go up this year. You'll see a little increase. So.
Right. So. Okay. Is everyone in kind of agreement about this?
I think it's a good, very good start and something to go ahead and submit.
I agree with Joe.
Okay. All right. So all in favor?
I
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That was,
Where are we at? Where's the agenda? What are we doing?
we're done. Everything else is off the agenda.
Okay, rooftop lighting and lighting trees and district kiosk and on-street parking.
So we're, so rooftop lighting, we're still working with Stripe. Everything is going, it's just winter time. And so it goes a little slower.
Lighting and trees, this is between Public Works and our fault. We had weather, we didn't put the things out. So I have called Frank this morning. They will get on it as soon as they can. It will likely not be this week because of the potential snow. So
That's great. Okay.
so
No problem.
apologies on our end.
The district kiosk, we're on hold waiting for, we already talked about that a little bit.
Yep.
On-street parking. And so I accidentally said that the 2-hour parking was removed from in front of our store. I didn't realize it just says 2 hours on the way that you're going. So I realized that. I apologize. So it still does say 2-hour street parking in front of our shop anyway. So and all those signs do. It's just the way you park directionally. If you look at it from the backside, it doesn't say it, but you're not supposed to park that way. So
Ron, you're absolutely right, because Mara's like, I thought we put the signs out. And so we were talking about this. The signs are out. You haven't seen an email from me yet, because we're just talking through here at City about, for those restaurants that do want to do curbside, how we're going to deal with that once we, say Officer Razul, start writing tickets for everyone, right? And if you as a business owner, you would have no legal right if we say we're going to strictly enforce to take a parking spot for your business, right? So we're trying to figure out what is the best way to do this, protecting the public's interest, but also recognizing we still have people that really enjoy this service now, right? And, we've been a town somewhat averse to drive-through restaurants. And so now we've got this idea of curbside pickup and how do we make this work? So.
Right, yeah, I know, yeah, I don't know. It's, it's a tough situation. It's, restaurants take up 3 spots for their pickup and then all their patrons take up the rest of the spots to park in. So it's kind of hard for other businesses to survive.
Absolutely. And I don't want you to hear anyone to hear that we're trying to default to just in supporting the restaurants. We're trying to figure out what's the right way to permit essentially use of parking spots, for a dedicated function.
Okay. And so I guess the only other thing I was thinking after our last meeting was when we were talking about some of the business owners who continually park there and were talked to about, and they get a $10 ticket for it. Is there any way that the city council, and we can't do this, but can, like, if you're a repeat offender after 5 parking tickets, can't they go up to make it? It's like, you just don't even care. And that's, I don't think it's a good attitude for a business owner to have.
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm going to look at Officer Razul. I don't know what we do for habitual traffic parking offenders. I can talk to Judge Whitney about that. I mean, obviously most people just pay their $10 ticket, right? He wouldn't know about a habitual if they haven't, unless they don't pay and it gets to him, right?
Right.
But I'll look at Officer Razul and let us know if he's got any tricks that he likes. Maybe we could paintball a back of a.
There you go. I was thinking taser, but paintball is probably a little better.
Wait, does Webster not have a boot that they can put on after they've ticketed a car 5 times?
No,
Maybe we should figure out how to get you a boot.
that's a liability issue. So
Big liability.
if the parking ticket doesn't do it, I usually pay him a visit just as a courtesy to let them know that, hey, I am, but most of them, they pretty much say, hey, you do your job, you write your tickets and I'll keep paying it. So I don't think we could just, in my opinion, we could punish them for 5 times, 10 times, because they're paying their fines. Now, if they don't pay it, after eventually it becomes a warrant, but that's 2 years down the line. But that's all your friends and your neighbors that causing this. So
Our neighbors, not our friends.
yeah.
I'm friends with everybody. Speak for yourself.
Well, then you should go talk to him then, Stacy.
No, not a police officer. I will not.
All right. Okay, so that's enough. Anything else on parking?
Not for me.
Okay. Commission vacancies. We have 2 vacancies right now, possibly gonna have 3 really soon.
Who did we lose?
I think we lost Mark and
Gary.
Gary.
Yeah.
And then Joe is not a business anymore. He's still a property owner, but if his property sells, then that's going to be something. So
Do we have feedback on why we lost them? Do we know what happened?
I know Mark has a meeting at 9 o'clock every Tuesday, so that was his reason that he could not continue on.
And Gary?
Gary sent a nice letter, a brief letter, I think it was just simply interest time, so. But it wasn't specific enough for me to say that's what it is, so.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we know any other business owners that we can talk to that would like to join, that would be awesome. We're going to need some because one person takes, just like today, we're just at a quorum right now, that's it. So we don't have a lot of extra wiggle room at all. So if we could all kind of work on that together, maybe. Okay, next meeting is in person.
Yay.
Let's hoping our numbers keep dropping, and Zoom option will be, of course, available as well if you don't feel comfortable meeting in person.
Yes.
So,
Well, does Eric have a city update?
There's nothing going on at the city. You
There's
heard nothing
zero.
from us. There's no, no. So just a brief update. Mara did not send any new business applications or such that to report to you. So I will, if I get a report from her, I'll have Fran email that out about what companies are coming in or such. We obviously, you do know about the law office and the coffee shop over by Regions. That's moving along. 55 West Moody is moving along as well. So we do expect construction at some point there. While residences aren't a big problem for you, you actually do have one right now. You've got that, the building over on Pacific and Rock Hill is technically in the district. That multi-family building there. Just want you to be aware, some residential popping up in Old Webster. You know that already. The other city update I would say is really budget. We are ending the balancing act for ARP tomorrow. So if you haven't done the federal funds balancing act, please do so. The one we, I think, discussed last month. So that will be closed and we'll have the data next Tuesday night. We'll be presenting to council what has been said, all people that have submitted for the ARP funds. And then I really expect the council to make some decisions soon about some certain areas and then also be in conjunction with the budget, making some other decisions along the way, right? So, if we're, again, back to the kiosk conversation, that was one of the options in the ARP. If that's really an area that they want to say, hey, this is something to support the business community, let's, put some thousands of dollars in the kiosk from that one-time funding, they could look at that. Same with, if we're going to, if new banners are desired so that they're all coordinated and say Webster Groves, that might be an ARP funding type of question. So that wasn't one of the options, but you never know what will come up. So that is going to be happening. And then we will also be launching later this week our balancing act for the regular budget. Now, the budget we just talked about for you all is not in that balancing act. This is the general fund budget, the deficit issues we have to deal with. And so this will be, part of the city's budget engagement. We encourage you all to take a part of that. We'll send you the link. And today we have gotten back all of our letters from various folks and edits, but our business survey will be going out today. This comes out of the roundtable. Tim, I know you were a part of this. Stacy, I believe you as well came to that. But the business survey. So this is a comprehensive 60-question survey that is going out to businesses. You don't have to answer all the questions. You don't have to know all the answers. It's literally what you know about needs and assessments for the business community. What are you seeing? Is it capital needs that you have? Is it workforce needs? Are there issues that you're having with parking along the way and supply of parking? It's a very comprehensive survey online that'll be launched today. You will all be getting that survey link from the city. The BDC has sponsored that, and so that will be open. We're probably going to keep it open right through the end of March, potentially early April, sort of right around election time. Use that survey to collect some data and then really release that back out, and will help inform some of the budget and also long-term plans that BDC would like to look at. And I would think, and certainly I don't want to speak for the BDC, but I think we might be primed coming out of COVID here this calendar year to potentially look at I'll call it a summit meeting of the 3 business districts in BDC again, right? And really talk about where do we go coming out of this pandemic, and quite likely what will be an endemic. So those are my quick updates.
Again, Eric, the comprehensive plan that's on the website, tomorrow is the last day.
The balancing act.
Balancing act, yes.
Yes. For the ARP funds, tomorrow is the last day.
Okay, got you. Okay,
Yeah.
All right. So if you haven't done that, everyone, please try to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Amar, is there anything I missed from parking or your world?
No, sir. I don't have anything.
And I don't see Councilmember Franklin, so.
Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time today. I know it was a long meeting, so thanks. Have a great day. Bye. Bye.
All right.
Bye.